Де ця безпека, яку має гарантувати?
Where is the security that the Security Council needs to guarantee? It's not there, although there is a Security Council. Where is the peace? Where are those guarantees that the United Nations needs to guarantee? It is obvious that the key institution of the world, which must ensure the coercion of any aggressor to peace, simply cannot work effectively.
Zelenskyy also recounted the horrors he saw in Bucha when he toured the city on Monday, saying that it's just one example of Russian atrocities and the world is yet to see what they've done elsewhere. CTV's chief international correspondent Paul Workman is in Kyiv, and he joins me now. Let's talk a little bit more about Zelenskyy's speech in very, directed language at the UN Security Council.
Well, as he pointed out, the first article of the UN Charter is to maintain peace. And Zelenskyy said, look, if the UN can't do that, then what's the use of having a charter at all? He compared the Russians to the worst of the ISIS terrorists, trying to make a point to those people listening that they need to stand up now and they need to condemn Russia, and that Russia needs to be held account for what he has said time and time and time again are crimes against humanity, war crimes, even that awful word, genocide. He's used it every time he's mentioned what happened in places like Bucha. And as he said today, now the world can see what Russia did in Bucha, Bev.
And we also seem to be learning a lot more, Paul, about these atrocities, and the mass graves, the executions in the street.
Mm-hmm. Well, I was in a village today called Mitozhin, where they found two graves, not mass graves, but they found two shallow graves back in a woods. Obviously, very clearly, the Russians had tried to hide the bodies that were in these two graves. They'd taken refuge in some houses. They were firing some shells. They were shelling a nearby village. And Ukrainian forces found four bodies in one grave. The head of the village, a woman, her husband, and her 24-year-old son. The Ukrainians said they'd been tortured. In a second grave, a woman who had been killed by a Russian sniper. They'd then taken her, they said, to treatment, according to local villagers, but her body was found in this grave. And the Ukrainians say there's going to be much more evidence of that as they push more into some towns and villages that have not yet been fully cleared, I guess. The Russians are no longer there, but the Ukrainians haven't gone through these villages yet, and they expect to find more bodies and perhaps more graves.
And Paul, there have been some peace talks. We haven't heard much about that in the last couple of days. What do we know?
Well, we do know that Volodymyr Zelenskyy said it's going to be very hard to sit down and face the Russians now in peace talks after what his country has been put through in places like Bucha. But he also said it has to happen. There can be no other resolution but sitting down and talking to the Russians and trying to come to some sort of agreement. Look, we do know that about a week ago, Ukraine said it was willing to become a neutral state in exchange for guarantees, and the Russians, at least some of them, seem to think that that was the basis for a peace treaty. So that may be what they're working on silently behind the scenes. We haven't heard very much. We do know that they are having talks, video-linked talks, and maybe we're at a turning point. We've all used that phrase so many times, but perhaps these atrocities in places like Bucha might just push more action towards ceasefire, Bev.
Yeah, certainly there's global outrage with all of this. And Paul, thank you very much for the update.